Yes, as I'm starting this project, I'm trying to share the idea with the communities. Okay. Yeah, hello everyone. So my name is Matt, and I'm working on so recently I just started a project called ROD. It's short for Rules on Docker. So I give a lot of qualifier to these tools. We call that project oriented and Docker and cloud native DevOps tools for Ruby on Rails. So what does that mean? So for project-oriented tools, so it organizes all the information in the project, such as the current release version of the project, and where to deploy, and how to view logs in the production environment, and how to upgrade and roll back in terms of releases and database, and how to back up and recover database. So with those information, it makes developers or DevOps engineers to perform tasks much easily. And later I'm going to show how to use the tools. So even there's some few commands not finished. And for the Docker native, so the developers start their project using Docker containers, write the code using Docker containers, test with Docker containers, and deploy using Docker container. That we call that Docker native. Everything is based on the Docker container. So for the cloud native, so for developer, deploy that project on Kubernetes just in one command. And as the main cloud provider supports Kubernetes, it allows the developer to deploy their apps to cloud. Okay, let's see the who gonna use so who may use the tools, who may get some benefits from the tools. For teams which run many projects and deploy frequently. So because some companies I worked for, and so we have many small teams, and so each team run several projects, and every time when we're going to deploy the project, it's too hard to organize or to coordinate the deployment plan, and so that makes things very hard. So this is a tool for such team to run many projects and deploy frequently. And also some companies which has no dedicated DevOps engineers. Sometimes the company has no the real DevOps engineers, so they may need the tools to make the development quickly and easily. And also, of course, like for the microservice company, for the microservices, there's maybe sometimes hundreds or at least tens, 20s or something like that. And when the team try to deploy microservices, it's too many things to maintain. I mean, in terms of information, and so the servers and the resources, how to make things as expected. That is just hard. So the tools can help them. And okay, we're back to I'll give much more information about the project oriented. So the ROD works in a project context, like things like usually or generally DevOps maintain their information about deployment, and the developer maintain all the stuff around the development. So they rarely can share information in a better way. So, but for ROD, it keeps all the information together. So when either the DevOps engineer or the developer get the code or get the project, you get all the information about the deployment and the development and the production information. So that's it's easy way to keep the information. And yeah, just like the second point, so we saw that organized information is very important, because when you deployment, you don't have to know where to deploy, for example, to AWS or Google Cloud or something else. So because we keep the information in the project directory, rather just to read the information from that file of that place and to get information, or just to deploy the tools to the cloud. And so nobody need to care about like the much details about the credentials and the password, the security stuff. So it will be done by rote, just one command. And also we introduced a new concept, like we call the semantic versioning. So that means like, so for each release, when we check out the new release of Ruby on Rails, there's a change log, right? So, but the change log is a bit harder to track the deployment history, because we may update the change log, but we may don't. So we may need to upgrade the online release. So for the semantic versioning, so each replace, the command will allow the DevOps engineer or developer to type description about the changes on this release, and it will help the people to check the release history and to know what happened to this release. So if something happened, if something wrong, so you can view the release description, and they may to find the issue, to look at the issue quickly. So, and also it has some the built-in data operations, such as the database backup and database recovery. And the most interesting things, like we have the production environment mirror feature. With this feature, we can just mirror or make almost same environment as same as one so on cloud. That means when we have some tricky bugs and we couldn't reproduce online, then we can make environment locally, and we use the same data and the same release, the same version, almost same code to try to reduce the bugs or issues. And once we locate the bugs, and we can fix it. Yeah, for troubleshooting, we have a log filters. We can use some command like row logs error. So it will filter the logger. So it will reading the logs and filter all the error logs and print out, and to help developer to find so there's some exceptions, some errors. So what time and in what condition it happens. And this is for developer friendly. So so at this point, because there's quite a lot of tools like Kubernetes control, Helm, and something else, and we need to know the commands. There's I think it's for Kubernetes control, there's almost 20 subcommands, and yes, it's harder to remember, and sometimes it's if you use the wrong command, it will make disaster. So that is not good to developers. So the rather just use the very simple commands and just wrap the Kubernetes control and the Helm, things like that. So developer can just use the simple commands and to deploy the project and to view logs and to back up the database. Yeah. Okay, the benefits. So what the benefits can get from this project? So the first is like what I mentioned, like no need to get releases and deployment information in different places. Those all come with a project. So we'll clone the project into your laptop or your computer. So you got all the information about the deployment and so the like release history. And also there's no need to use the multiple tools like Kubernetes control and Helm and something else to do the job. Sometimes it's too much for developers. And for third one, no need to manually maintain the release history. You don't have to push a new release and to write down in a README or something where or like some documents. So when you try to do the deployment, and the tools will allow you to type the information before the release will be sent to the cloud. So last one, like data backup, there's always important things for DevOps, and so anything we upgrade, anytime we upgrade and we roll back, you have to, you want to keep data safe. And for example, like when you upgrade, so the database will be backed up, and if the upgrade has something wrong, and you can roll back, and database will be recovered. So use the previous one. So okay, so for Docker and cloud native, and sometimes somebody will say that too much for to use Docker to do everything, because sometimes, for example, like if you are using Mac OS, you have to run a virtual machine to for using Docker, and so it be much sometimes, but it brings quite a lot of benefits. So that's why I'm just start from Docker containers. So so we see like the Docker and the cloud native means like a Docker in a container is used when you create a project like the organizer set, and for the Rails campaign and the camp, and you have to teach somebody to create a new project. But before that, you have to help them to set up the environment. But if you just use the ROD, it's no need. Basically, you just have a Docker desktop on your laptop, on your computer, and use ROD to create a project. No need any environment, any tools on your laptop. Just use Docker. You don't have to install Rails, even Ruby. So that's different. And all operations are based on Dockers, like start a Rails server and a database server. There's no any tools on your local environment. Everything is in Docker. It's in Docker containers, and and also, so with Docker, of course, like we have like a separate environment. So it is just working in the Docker environment. Is not on your local, the real environment. That means like there's nothing about your local environment. It's all about a Docker environment. So we call that environment isolation. And with Docker and the profiles generated during the creation of the Rails project, so the Kubernetes files and Helm charts files will be generated. So in that case, so your project is ready to deploy to cloud from start. Even you don't have, even you don't even write even one line, and you are ready to do that. So in terms of database and the Ruby on Rails project. So with the Kubernetes and will support multi-cloud providers. Okay, let's see the main things. So the commands. So there's just one command, route, and it has several subcommands like project. This is the one to create a new Rails project, and generate is just a shortcut for Rails generate, and Rails just for Rails, because sometimes we will run some commands and some commands is not that frequently, but sometimes we need to use Rails just to run some commands. Then we just use Rails, and tasks is for the rig tasks, and the cloud and the mirror. The cloud is do the main job for deployment. So use the cloud command. We can deploy the project to Kubernetes, to view logs, to upgrade, and the rollback, the release, and everything related to cloud, to the production environment. We can use the cloud command. The last one is mirror. Mirror just mirror the cloud or online or the production environment to your local machine. And then you can use that environment to test, to reproduce some issues happen in the production environment. Yes, this is the first command, just like what I said. So this is first command to create a new Rails project. We just need the route and give a project, this is subcommand, and another subcommand new. So -v means it's used to specify the version of rows. This command is using the latest row 7 to create a project. And the -p is for Postgres. And so this command is just use the Postgres as a database. And of course, like for -v, you can use a specific version, like the latest 7 version is 7.0.1. If you give 6, the 6 might be the 6.14.4, something like that. So yeah, you can use different version of row to create a project, and this is make things easier. But you may ask like why we don't just use the row command directly to generate a project. So as I mentioned, like this tool is Docker based. The raw is just wrapping the doc command and such as this. So when you run raw project new, like -v7 -p demo, basically, so like behind that command, it is Docker run. The Docker run just use those things to run roles in the Docker and to create a project called the named demo and use the database Postgres. So the new files during the creation of the project, and the first one is the doc compose YAML file. So this is for the local development. You set up the roles project and database. So once you have the project, you can just start a role server, and you don't have to set up the database. Database is already there because during the creation, the Docker compose has any information about the database. The database setup, and you just start your the roles project. The second one is Docfile. Docfile just basically is for building the roles Docker image that is used by Docker Compose. And Kubernetes file. Kubernetes file is for the deployment to Kubernetes. Of course, like to some any cloud providers who support Kubernetes. And Helm chart file is used to deploy to the production environment. Most important thing is that using Helm, it can manage the release. It can like track the release history. So you can upgrade your products, your apps. You can roll back to a previous version. And with the Helm hook, you can back up the database and you can recover the database before the upgrade or after rollback. Oh, sorry. Before the upgrade and also before the rollback, you back the database or you recover the database. Okay, the last one is some of the metadata files used to track the release history and the project related information that are used for to maintain the credential and some confidential information like password, like things like that. Okay, here's some commands we can use. So I think here I think it's almost finished the presentation, but I'm trying to demonstrate like how to use this command. So here's like for example like okay, let's finish the presentation. I just demonstrated how to use these things. This is the commands I think most of us are familiar with. It's just a wrap of rows. We use the raw generate to generate a project. To generate like models and controllers and something like that. So and raw rows is just wrap the rows, and the row task is just wrap the rig. Of course, like I'm going to add some shortcuts for the rig task. Like we may have the raw migration to do the DB migration task, and we will have the raw rows or something like that to add a shortcuts for some tasks. And here's the command. I'm still on the development, and we call that cloud. We use the raw cloud deploy. we just give the version, and we just give the deployed name, and then we can push the current release to the production environment. Basically, the command just use Helm to deploy a particular release to cloud, and with the Helm support, it maintains the version history, and yeah, you can roll back and you can upgrade your release, and you don't have to know too much information about the AWS and Azure and Google Cloud. Is no difference to roll. You just need to roll cloud deploy, then you will have a new version to serve the users. Yeah, and this one, I think I really like this command, because when we do the troubleshooting, and so in the past, I'm just log into some server and to check the logs. But sometimes if you deploy your application on the many servers, you don't know which one has the error logs, which one has not. So you have to check the logs one by one. This is too hard to do that kind of job. So, and we're using the cloud logs, and because we mentioned like so this is project oriented. So in the project directory, it maintains all the information like how many instances, or how many pods, or how many containers are running. So we know all the information. Then we use this log. We just check all the instances and to get a log, and filter the logs according to the option like warning or error. So this is very convenient for developers to find the errors and exceptions. Yeah. So, and backup is mainly for database, and to same thing. So behind that, it's just like tools like a MySQL dump and a PG dump. Like so we make the database, make a backup, and we save the backup to some service like S3 or any storage service. Okay, last one is the mirror. Mirror, yeah. So I think I already I talked about this a lot. So just make a local environment as same as the production environment. But of course, there's not that many instances or containers or pods. But yeah, so the release and database is the same. The code is the same, and database is the same. So use the same code and same database. Yeah, it allows the developer to reproduce the errors and the bugs. Okay, thank you. And okay, let's see the sorry, I'm going to share my terminal. Yeah, just give a quick example. So let's see if we're going to create a project. We call the
Hey, sorry, Matt, I'm just going to interrupt really quick. Can you just make your terminal bigger? This is all great, by the way. You're doing great. It's very small, at least for me. Is there any chance you can increase the font size?
So I didn't get you. So you mean?
Can you make the text bigger so that some of
text
us can
big?
see?
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Amazing. That's perfect. Thank you.
So is it better now?
Yeah, it's perfect. Oh,
okay.
Yeah, that's it. Great. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so let's create a new project. We call that demo. Yeah, so this is easier. So this is easy, and I think on this machine. Yeah, okay, I have this one, but so even there's no rules on your local environment, yeah, you can still use this command to create a new road project. So it takes a bit time to install everything. Yeah, so of this command, you got everything here, and for example, like you can see this the demo project here, and you have the raw command here, and you have .compose file, and you have Docker file. Of course, like in the next few weeks, I'm going to add the kubernetes file and the Helm chart files. Okay, let's see the Docker compose file. Yeah, this is just a very simple one. And we have the web. This is for Ruby on Rails, and we have the DB section for just DB. We use the MariaDB, and here the password. Of course, like for the online the deployment, we may use the Kubernetes the secret service that will hide the password. But for the local development, we can just use this here. And so, like, let's change the database. And because we are using DB as the name for the as the name in the Docker compose, and we use the host. We chose the host to DB, and the password we use example. And after we change that, let's create a route generate, like we call the classic example title and to give a text. Yep. So we'll have post like views and models. Yeah, for the first time, it took a bit time to boot up. Okay. Yep. It shouldn't take such long, but I don't know what happened today. Okay, cool. So, okay, let's okay. Once we got this one, and we can do the migration. So tasks DB. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So we should do the create and migrate. Yep. And okay, let's run the server. So route roles server. We're just waiting. Yep. So the database is ready, and the server is ready. And now I guess okay. Sorry. Yeah. So I'll share my desktop. So I'm going to use this thing to. Yep. So we got the project, and we have the post. Yeah, this is the basic operation with the route. So you can see that everything is based on the Docker, and for database, for setting up database, and for set up the project, and everything is Docker based. And as long as oh my God, so I think it should be bigger. As long as we have the Docker compose, and we can do things like that. Okay, I think that's pretty much. So in the next few weeks, I'm going to add the files and the function for deploying to Kubernetes and using the Helm charts, and that will support the release upgrade and rollback. Yep, thank you.
Wow, that was great. Oh my goodness.
Yep, hope you like it. So
yeah, I did. I very much liked it. I have lots of questions as well, but like good questions, not like ooh questions. But before I drown out anything, does anyone else have any questions for Matt? Alrighty.
I have a question. So how do you configure, like your AWS, cloud instance, or Google Cloud here?
So for AWS has its own tools we call the EKS.
Yeah.
So for so when you set up when you're using the EKS to create a cluster on AWS, it will maintain the credential information in your laptop or in your computer.
Okay,
So,
got
yeah.
it.
Yeah, with that, we can just use the control to do the deployment.
Cool. So firstly, this is quite a bit of work. This is something you've been doing in your spare time, or is this something from work, or where is
not from work, just yeah. So recently I just spend a lot of time on the so in the DevOps things. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Cool. That's amazing. Because I've certainly had to do a bunch of those things that you just mentioned, but all without any lovely tools like this. It's a real pain in the bum. So that's really cool. My first thing was how, and all of these questions can be, I don't know, or it's not supported, because I realize you're in the middle of building it, and all those questions, all those answers are totally fine. I'm just curious. If I want to add like Redis as a dependency and have a Redis instance spun up, would it just be a matter of tweaking the Docker Compose files and stuff, or is there a bit more that I would have to do in order to support like an extra sort of dependency, I guess?
Oh yeah, cool. That's a good question. So yeah, I think got your point. So like when so that's the two things. If you want to add Redis, so from the router, so there will definitely will have a option for that. So route at this moment have the few commands, but yes, it's not enough. I'm going to add the things like for Redis, even for MongoDB, and so of that. The router will automatically add the dependency, the germs to the germ file, and then you will update the germ files and to rebuild the Docker image. Yeah.
Okay, and so, but like, okay, maybe Redis was a bad example. What if I had some crazy dependency that wasn't something easily, like if I wanted to add something like another dependency, like another service I'd made myself?
Yeah, no problem.
It's a relatively simple process, right? Like there's not too much, it's not going to affect Rod really, because all it cares about is it's just wrapping things, right?
It's almost the same way to do the thing. You just add your
you just
and Rod, and you can use bundle.
Okay. All right. So
your bundle will update and do the rest of stuff like build the image.
And say I had, okay, this is getting a bit crazy here, but say I had two services. I had, well, two like maybe microservices, say. I had my Rails app that I've just generated, and I have something else.
Yep.
It would just be a matter of me adding it to our Docker Compose file as like a dependency that needs to be booted up or like communicated with. Or would that be in a different, that wouldn't be part of this setup at all?
Yes, at this moment, I didn't consider that case.
Of course, because
normally, I guess, of course, like this is the thing is like, but yeah, for microservice, we may just use Kubernetes.
Exactly.
Just deploy 2 times or many times too.
Sweet, that's cool. I was just curious as to, and so if I generate my project with this tool and I go, oh man, maybe I want to do things differently. There's no real like hard dependency on Rod to be here, right? It's just purely a way to wrap and simplify a lot of the commands. If I decided that Rod, the way that Rod runs its commands doesn't do some things, I don't necessarily need Rod once I've generated this project.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, sure. That's so cool, man. I really love this.
So like you can basically just remove Rod and then you can use,
cool. I love that. My last thing was, this is probably not that helpful, but I think now, at least with Rails, Rails and Rake are now interchangeable when it comes to running tasks. So this doesn't work if you use older versions of Rails, but if you wanted to have one less command line thing to like option to be able to like run tasks versus run Rails, you could probably just use Rails. Because I think you can go Rails DB migrate instead of Rake DB migrate. I think it does exactly the same thing. Anyway, you don't really, but it doesn't really, it's not going to work if you choose an older version of Rails, but it's neither here nor there. Anyway, that's enough of me talking. Thank you very much, Matt. That was really cool. So is this going to be accessible on GitHub at all?
Yeah. So so this is on GitHub, and yeah. So the you can see here, I think. Okay, where is it? So here's the just share. Okay. What happened? So yeah, this is here. So this is the
Cool.
address, but yeah, so it's still on development. So
Yeah, of course.
and yeah, so hope you guys like it, because sometimes when to maintain the different version projects, and is very annoying, because
Oh, I know.
if you
Yeah.
install germs different version, I'll host a machine, and sometimes it will cause some errors, yeah, for some reason.
Yeah, cool. Great. All right. Well, I will when I do the recording, I'll loop and like add the link to the repo in the description as well, so people can find it if they want to have a look.
Yep. Yeah, okay.
Great.
Thank you. Yep.
All right. Let's if no one has any more questions, we'll move on, unless someone has a question, of course.
Yep. Yep. Thank you for the chance.
Cool. Thanks, Matt.